Okay, so a friend asked how I work to help people heal. How do I facilitate that? And I found out that she and a lot of people who maybe don't know that much about true emotional healing because it's not taught anywhere in school. They never talk about it on TV. You'll never hear about it at a rock concert or a sporting event or in church or anywhere. So you won't find out how emotional healing happens anywhere unless you buy some books about emotional healing from people who know how it's done, and even there's a lot of nonsense. And it's also difficult to understand exactly what the process is from books. So I'll describe what happens. What happens is you're born. And when you're born, that may be traumatic in itself, you start to grow up. You have emotions. And your family maybe has the idea for you that certain emotions aren't appropriate. So big boys don't cry, or get a hold of yourself, or stop running around the house, stop being so excited, stop being this, stop being that. That's how our society works, and works effectively. We can't have everybody running around in their full energy being themselves now, can we? Okay, for another day. But anyway, this is how society works. This is how we get raised. So what's the next step? Next step is you have to cry. You feel the impulse to cry, but you're told not to cry. What do? Well, you can't just stop crying. You have to actually eliminate the emotion, the feeling that makes you want to cry. So you have to repress it. So here you are crying, "Wah, wah, wah," and you hear don't cry, stop crying, and you clamp down. What you'll see what happens to the child is they do this. They'll hold their breath, tighten their muscles, stomach muscles, and then they'll stop crying. Why do we stop crying or stop expressing an emotion or stop running around naked or whatever it is that our parents don't want us to do? Why do we do that? Well, because we don't want to die, really. Our parents are the ones who take care of us, and we realize that they don't love us anymore. They might not feed us. They might not provide us with shelter, so we'll die. At some point, you figure that out when you're very small. So we decide, most of us, to do what our parents invite us to do, and that is to fit in. So what happens is we start to feel sad, but we don't express it. We start to feel happy or excited, and we don't express it. And then we're called a good little girl, a good little boy. We see we're getting more love and attention and affection and respect. So we start to think this is the right way to be. Well, it may be a very socially acceptable way to be, but it's not actually how we are deep down inside. Okay? So the next thing that happens is we've been repressing these emotions. Pretty soon, it's not just when we're with mommy and daddy, whenever any emotion of sadness comes up, we repress it. Why? A lot of men can't cry, period, ever. Any emotion comes up, it gets immediately repressed. And what happens is this repression doesn't destroy the emotion. It doesn't destroy the event. What happens is this emotion, this energy emotion, simply gets stored within the body. All right? So what happens, excuse me. So what happens is it gets stored in the body somewhere. Well, how does that happen? You see people who have shoulder, you maybe yourself, if I tell you right now, drop your shoulders, can you drop your shoulders? Is there stress there? Is there tension there? You're holding something up. What are you holding up? Well, maybe it's some of that weight of your emotions that is 20, 30, 40 years old. Also, this emotion gets stored in muscle tissue. This energy gets stored in your back, maybe, and in various places in your body. And it's the cause of a lot of illness later. This is, why people have heart attacks, why people get cancer. It's because they have all this energy stored in their body that wants to be expressed, their true aliveness, their true selves, but they never can do it. So is there proof? Yes, there's proof. This is what Wilhelm Reich came up with after he was a student of Freud's and started releasing these energies from people. But the problem is once you start releasing these energies, once you start accessing these energies, these emotions, people become much, much more difficult to fit in society. you start to have a much more powerful energetic imprint and effect on the world around you. And so this isn't really greeted with much joy by society, and especially the people who have power in society. So Wilhelm Reich was arrested on a Trump charge, thrown in prison, and died there. Maybe he was murdered, maybe he was poisoned, I don't know. But people who start to find out how people can be free aren't really liked, including Jesus, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, all these people. Yes, they have problems trying to free people, whether it's mentally or through the body. So anyway, you have these emotions stored in your body in various places, right? Now what Reich discovered, and others have since experienced, is when you start to put energy into this place, maybe you're vibrating a muscle or massaging it where this stress is, it will tend to trigger it, yeah? And what happens is you feel sensitivity. So you feel sensitivity and pain sometimes. So you'll pull together and you won't want someone to push that muscle because it hurts, yeah? It's sensitive. Well, why is it sensitive? This is a message from the mind. If this triggers this energy that's here, then you start crying for no reason, apparently, then this is dangerous for your survival. Remember what I said about mommy and daddy, and they have to be happy with us. Otherwise, we will die. So what happens is you'll generally try and push this down unless you're really trying to open to whatever is behind this. And if you are getting pressure somewhere and it is starting to get tender, you start breathing. Breath, brings more energy into the body. When more energy is in the body, it tends to bring everything closer to the surface, make it easier to access. Emotions, feelings, sexuality, energy, anything that is kind of looked upon or has been negatively or repressed will come up in the body. All right, so we're breathing, we're pressing on something, or another thing that can happen is the place is very dead. This also happens if a certain location has no energy. It's also possible, but I'll stick with the first example for now. So we're pressing on a muscle and it's starting to hurt. What do? Well, we simply be with whatever the emotion was at that point that we were pressed. So something will come up, maybe it's something from the childhood, and we simply watch it when it's there. We give it presence. We don't judge it. We don't push it more. If we feel maybe like we're starting to tear up, we don't force ourselves to cry. If we feel a little bit of nausea, this happens a lot, we don't force ourselves to throw up. But we just stay with whatever the feeling is. However, we don't block it. And it may be that things like this happen, you start getting a therapy that's on a body level, a Reichian bioenergetic therapy, or this can also be triggered by craniosacral therapy, and Reiki can even do this at times. Energetic therapies will bring up these patterns and these energies. When they start to come up, this time we realize, okay, I'm not going to die. Mommy and daddy aren't here, and even if they were here, I can take care of myself, so I don't need them to take care of me. And so this energy comes up, these tears, and I just let them flow. And maybe it is crying, and maybe it's a lot more than I'm comfortable with, and maybe it does feel scary to feel this energy. But we still allow it to be in that moment, and we let the energy come out that wanted to be expressed way back when, right? So we stopped repressing it, and we also don't pressure it to come out especially quick. We really just stay with what is. And this energy will start releasing. And what happens is, just by watching this energy, maybe memories will come up, maybe pictures will come up, and that's fine. We don't start trying to figure out why and what this was about and everything generally. We've come in with some sort of problem, whatever that is, a health problem or an emotional problem or a relationship problem, and this is why we wanted healing in the first place, and that our body can give us. And we just start to concentrate on that problem and feel how where the energy goes in the body, the therapist who's working with us, and then they help us to release that energy or be present for us and help us to be present with that energy while it's released. Now the interesting thing about this is your life will change after this. Something will shift because of this experience, or you'll learn something new towards resolving whatever issue it is you're working through. Why? Because the emotions are information about needs getting met or not getting met. Positive emotions are messages about needs getting met. Negative emotions, as we call it, negative, sadness, anger, and fear, are signals to us that our needs aren't getting met. Sadness especially. Anger is caused by our thinking related to something that isn't getting met in our needs. And fear is connected to the historical past about our needs and what we expect to happen in the future. But if we look at what is, or what was, as it comes up for us now, and are present with this, these energies will dissipate and the situation will improve, right? So regardless of what type of therapy I'm doing with someone, whether it's craniosacral, whether it's Reiki or bioenergetics or anything else, it's all about being present with what happened back then so you can release it. And as you do this, you move into the future with freedom.